Hi, everybody. We are going to talk about focal point today. Now, focal point is an art concept that is very important to making great art because it is the area of art that commands the attention. It's what your viewer notices, usually first, not always, but it's what they notice and it grabs them. There are different ways you can think about focal point. It might be the subject, it might be what the picture is about that grabs their attention. It might be the first thing they notice when they glance at it right away. Or it might be what your eye notices most often, like what it returns to. You just keep looking at this spot and you keep noticing it as your eye moves around the art, which is typical when a viewer looks at art. They keep looking at this same thing. There are lots of different ways to create focal point, and I'm going to talk about several of them here. The first one is location or placement on the page. When you put something in the center of the page, like this or like this, it draws attention. Or if you put something in isolation, this girl is all by herself when the other things are way up here. This guy is all by himself when the other things are way down here. That grabs your attention and makes you look at one area. That is focal point. The second way to achieve that is by contrast or color. I put contrast and color because not everything is different colors. This one down here, it's just the contrast of all these squiggly kind of crazy manic lines that make the walls look curved by this straight figure. That's contrast. They are very, very different. The other ones do involve more color, but also the type of flower here. All these little kind of puffball blue flowers. I don't know what they are. I'm not sure what type those are. But then this one little daisy type flower there in the center. The color is different. The shape is different. The type of flower is different. That's contrast. This unusual color, we don't usually think of a face being green. So unusual color kind of catches us and draws our eye toward it. And then this just, when you have four figures with umbrellas that are this dark, dark, dark blue and this kind of blue sky, then all of a sudden these two figures that are bright and colorful, that grabs your attention. That is focal point. The next thing is called convergence, and it's kind of a big word which really just means line direction. There are actually things in this art that is pointing your eye or directing your eye to the focal point. In these two examples over here, it's really obvious. I mean, the lines of the tree trunks are pointing you down. Look at, they are absolutely saying, hey, look at this area right here. This is what I want you to see. There's also use of color. There's also use of placement. It's in the center of the page. It's much brighter yellow than all the rest of these reds and orange, but it also has these lines. This one too. I mean, those are just colors, but they're all directing you. And it's a whole herd of people that don't look any different, but yet your eye is directed to that center figure or this one right here. This one is not quite as obvious, but the lines definitely keep your eye moving. And then this circle in the, we're not really in the middle. I was going to say in the middle, but it's not really. But this circle here is what grabs your eye. All of these lines, you might follow them. And this is what I mean by your eye might travel around the painting. You might be looking at different areas, but typically you go back to this center circle. Now, this last one isn't quite as obvious, but when you look, this is an artist named Mary Cassatt, and she has really directed your eye. Look at the direction of the arm and these fingers, the lines on the shirt or dress. This angles up. Her eyes are looking down. All of it is leading you to this envelope that looks like she's licking to close. Look at this, even the wallpaper. It is subtle, but that line points right to the envelope, the lines of her hair. Now, Mary Cassatt is a very famous artist, and I mean, she's a master painter. That's what artists do, though. They kind of direct their audience, hey, look at this. It's so cool. The unusual element or the unexpected element can also draw your eye. This one, I mean, you might say that's color. Yeah, it is, but it surprises you because all these other umbrellas are different versions of blue, different values of blue, and then bam, this one's red and yellow and pink. And you see that one person. You don't see any of the people holding these, but this one you just see that eye. You don't know who it is. You don't know if it's a man or a woman. You don't know anything about them, but it certainly catches your eye. This is very unusual. All of a sudden, a huge face right in the middle of all this landscape. You're drawn right to it. The world as the eyeball. It catches your eye. I mean, you have to admit that when you look at that, you look closer at that spot because your brain registers, oh, that's an eye and eyelashes and eyebrows and etc. Like, whoa, wait a minute. Is that what? That's a world. That's the earth in there. And then this last one, it's a bunch of paper airplanes if you can't tell what it is. A bunch of, this one's kind of like wadded up paper. But then, do you notice that's a rock on the paper, and those are scissors. Get it? Rochambeau, rock, paper, scissors. But the bright orange color and the unusual object, when you have that repetition of paper airplanes, really catches your eye. Now I want to show you 5th grade examples. I like to do this just so you have a little bit of an idea, not of the project we're doing. These are 2 different projects I've done with 5th graders before. We're doing something very different, but you're going to love it. But I want to at least show you 5th grade ideas and how you can also create focal points in your art. The convergence, the lines directing it down to one area. This person, I mean, that's just a big X. Talk about X marks the spot, bringing you right to that center. This person did theirs off center, which I love, but the lines carry it right in your eye, right in. This one as well. The color is different. You can combine things in your art. You don't have to pick one, like I'm only going to use lines to create a focal point. Absolutely not. You can use all of those things that I just talked about and create focal points. And this one kind of does that too. Those little lines draw you in. It's placed in the center. That striking white color definitely catches your eye when the rest of it is those real bright, strong colors. Here's more 5th grade examples. And again, these are 2 different projects. This was kind of an op art project, and this was just a non-objective art project. Hey, look at there, some shading and value like we were working on before. This one too, the different values of red in there is really different than the yellow and orange and the blue and green. I love these examples, and I love what I've seen 5th graders do in the past, and I know I'm going to see you guys do too. Now this last slide, these are both 5th grade examples, and what I want you to understand is there can be really, really cool art that does not have a focal point, because I think both of these are really cool and interesting and well done, but neither one of them are good examples of focal point. They don't show me a spot where my eye rests. My eye does move around this picture, and the color is fantastic, and this line, that bold outline, really makes it interesting, but my eye doesn't land somewhere. There's not one thing that grabs my attention. This one as well. There is a whole lot of awesomeness going on in this picture. So I don't want you to think that focal point goes with good or bad. That's not the truth at all. But for the project we are going to start today, we are focusing on focal point, trying to get our viewer's eye to focus on one spot of our artwork, while the rest of it is still really cool too. So let's talk about how we're going to do that.